B-side on the beat.
What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on called stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet. Willie's doing shady shit like the GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay, he's getting money. Even better, tax-free, loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit.
B-side on the beat.
What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on called stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet. Willie's doing shady shit like the GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay, he's getting money. Even better, tax-free, loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Thursday night right here on Sports Card Radio. We are coming up on our 16th, 1-6, Joe Montana's number of year making content on the internet, whether that be putting articles on the web, podcast, or this YouTube channel. So we'd like to welcome all of you. We are a man down tonight. Colin is a victim of the holidays, baby, man. You know, when you got little kids, man, waking you up at the crack of dawn on Christmas. Some of you guys out there probably know that feeling. I mean, your kids are like banging on the door Christmas Day, waiting to open those gifts. So he is getting a little therapy and getting a little rest and recuperation, and we will see him back soon. We do have on the program super producer Tim in the house, earning that 4.2 equity. Tim, how we doing tonight?
We are chilling.
And it is the end of the year, ladies and gentlemen. But we still got a lot to talk about in the sports card world. Lots going on. We got a football game going on. Spoiler alert. Jets and Browns 7-7 first quarter. Probably a bigger game for the Cleveland Browns, the mistake on the lake, than it is for the Jets. But been probably quite a while since the Browns have had this good a team. We have got a fired up chat, ladies and gentlemen. Where's Wolfie, Philly Joe, Dan's Vintage Baseball PC in the house, Purple Haze, Kent Hamilton, Craig H, Tampa Home Investors. Maybe I should invest in a home in Tampa, Florida. Go Notre Dame is in the house. Rippin' List. Card Eye West Customs. This Cardboard Life, the meme god, is in the house. Hopefully you guys all had a good Christmas. Hopefully Santa put something under the tree for you guys, but I'd be remiss if we didn't start with the fact that one of the darlings of the COVID era, Kobe White, yes, him, has apparently been playing out of his mind lately. And there is a 1-of-1 flawless rookie card that ends tonight that is at $11,000, ladies and gentlemen. So even I'm shocked by those numbers, but he has been playing out of his mind for the Chicago Bulls, who are complete garbage for the most part this season over there in the Eastern Conference. So shout out to the person doing some after Christmas shopping, willing to pay $11,000 or more for a Kobe White autographed rookie card. No, guys, this is not taped. This is not the pandemic. This is not an old sports card investor video. This is real life. This is ending tonight. So we'll keep an eye on that. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got awards to talk about that we're giving away over here on Sports Card Radio. We have a lot to talk about. Mr. Wander Franco, we'll touch on him. Prizm Football came out today. Take a look at some of those cards. Take a look at the pricing. And 2024 coming up is the biggest year ever for sports cards. So we'll take a look back at 2023, but also take a look ahead at 2024. Huge year for sports cards. What went wrong this year? What could go right in 2024? We will take a look. But guys, stop what you're doing right now. Take your eyes off Joe Flacco and head on over to Sports Card Radio. I believe there's a link in the video description. We have awards, ladies and gentlemen. Some of these you might want to win. Some of these, maybe not so much. To my knowledge, we have already over 200 people have voted, cast their ballot. Let their voices be heard. Voting ends December 31st. So get your vote in on New Year's Day. I will update and let you know who wins with a post over on Sports Card Radio and on our YouTube channel. I'll create a post and let you know who wins. But we have some distinguished categories. Scammer of the Year. A lot of these are way too close to call, even with several hundred entries so far. We have Hobby Woman of the Year. I know you guys are all captivated by that. Hobby Man of the Year. We have so many entries for this. I mean, I could have went on probably another 20. If Brock Purdy didn't throw 4 interceptions the other night, he might have had his name on this list. We have a tightly contested race for Hobby Man of the Year. Hobby Pump of the Year. Desmond Ritter, the Tom Brady Expos cards, V Fred.
Shohei on there?
Who else?
Above was Shohei Ohtani. Oh, okay.
He's definitely on there. Shohei Ohtani, one of the few players who saw his card prices.
The Dodgers just bought out Japan.
There you go. I think they came out with a Tops Now card, and I think it broke an all-time record. It's like I think 100,000 people shelled out $5 or $10 for his first Dodgers card. So he certainly brought a lot of smiles to people's face in 2023, which was a rough year. We'll go over some of the pricing, some of the overall year-to-date pricing later on in the program. But Shohei Ohtani did bring some cheer to collectors. Hobby Pump of the Year.
Are these in order by votes, or is it just
this is just random? This is how this is just you go here.
That's getting crazy over here.
Who is the best white basketball player to invest in? I know everybody's captivated by that. The Authenticator of the Year and the top hobby disappearance. Voting ends, ladies and gentlemen, December 31st. Head on over to sportscardradio.com. Let your voice be heard. So I know everybody's excited about that. Another thing to be excited about, lots of card shows coming up, really kind of the first weekend in January. There's even one in Las Vegas. We're going to be in Las Vegas the first weekend of January, so maybe we'll have to stop by. Apparently it's at the Rio. Apparently I got 300 tables at the Rio in Las Vegas. So we will conveniently be in Las Vegas at this time, so maybe we'll have to stop on by. But the card show circuit will ramp up after the new year, and as you can see, even scheduled for the weekend of the 6th and the 7th, there's at least 20 going on all across the country. And one of the products people will be opening is Prizm Football. It's already out. Release calendar, technically it doesn't come out till January 3rd, but first off, the line is already out. People are finding these at retail, and they are posting the rookie cards to eBay. Here's a CJ Stroud. It's always kind of interesting to see what these cards look like. Not a whole lot of difference from years past. I mean, it almost looks like an unlicensed card, unless you, aside from the Texans, it almost looks like a Leaf card. Not a whole lot of hype or substance from Panini. I mean, have you heard a peep of marketing from Panini about this set? Here's a Bryce Young. They went all out on the pictures. The same picture is used on the front and the back of the card. So sparing no expense for collectors. Price-wise, hey, sometimes people, you might be able to find a blaster of this. Sometimes people buy this stuff, buy into a break, hits these cards. These are just the base versions, but there's obviously about 100 million parallels to each of these cards. A lot of people don't know what to do. Should I keep the CJ Stroud? Should I grade it? Should I sell it? My advice, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, snap sells. Why? You could just go back and look at some of the other hype beast quarterbacks from the last few years. Here is a Jalen Hurts 2020 Prizm, population 4,800. Current value on this, $20 for a PSA 9, down 35% over the last year. This is a guy who quite literally made a Super Bowl. What was it? It was last year. What about everybody's darling Justin Herbert? His PSA 9 is also worth $20. So if people are paying $20 for Justin Herbert, $20 for Jalen Hurts in PSA 9 condition, if you can get $45 for your raw Bryce Young card, sell. Same goes for CJ Stroud. I know he's had a great year. This is absolute snap sell. Brock Purdy. He's a little more popular. He's made people a little more happy this year. PSA 9, $81. I guess I would guess his raw PSA 8 would be $40, $46. You could probably pick one of these up for $40 to $50. So if Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are selling for more than Brock Purdy, it is an absolute snap. Sell. Sell, 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 sell. Anything 2023 Prizm that is selling over and above some of these other quarterbacks. A lot of people watching, a lot of people listening to the program don't need to be told that, but we do have a lot of younger collectors, a lot of people who haven't been in the hobby for quite a while. I think it will be possible to go to Target and Walmart and pick up a blaster, pick up a few packs. Maybe in the next couple weeks, if you pull one of these cards, I would be selling. I was actually surprised to see how. I mean, it is $19, $20 to grade the card. His PSA 10 is only worth $69. Population 2,900. You know, they've cranked up the printing press as much as possible on 2023 Prizm. It's going to be as many copies of Bryce Young and CJ Stroud than Jalen Hurts. So be careful there. I would not get FOMO and buy these cards, even in the parallels. I think you're going to have plenty of time to buy these guys, even if they come out hot, out of the gate hot. And I do know, I am aware that CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, and a few other of the quarterbacks are autograph exclusives to Fanatics. So that could change the pricing of the regular cards a little bit because collectors aren't able to collect their autographs. They may be willing to spend more for their base cards as opposed to somebody like Hurts who has autographs available, Herbert and Purdy. Look, I think we could be talking next year at this time, and both of these cards could be at or under $10. Jalen Hurts, raw Jalen Hurts is worth $11. 2020 Prizm rookie card. So I am a snap seller on any of these 2023 rookie cards. I wouldn't waste my time trying to grade it. I would just put it on eBay or get it out of my hands as fast as humanly possible. You know what has been getting out of people's hands as fast as possible is our boy Wander Franco. I don't know if you guys heard the news, and apparently there's some new news that our boy Wander Franco, they didn't just send Chris Hansen after him. They sent like the Dominican police after him, banging on his house, a couple of his houses, looking for him. So apparently there is an active investigation. They are actively searching for Mr. Franco, guys. Logan Ward, Hall of Famer, says he just voted. So that's right, guys. We've got the Hall of Famer in the house voting. We got Bob Boozle in the house. But you know who we don't have in the house? That is Wander Franco. And if you remember back, I don't know if you guys will, but when the news broke that Wander Franco was more likely to star on an episode of To Catch a Predator than a Sunday night baseball game, you remember right here on Sports Card Radio, we were telling you, sell, 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 sell. It's over. And I'm in the Christmas spirit, and I don't want to embarrass people, but there were some prominent people in the hobby who, when Wander Franco initially got busted over the summer, were saying maybe that was the opportunity to buy. Again, I don't want to embarrass anybody. I don't want to, embarrass anybody and even pull up, his index, which has got to be disastrous. It's only down 76% for the year. Looks like he got into his little entanglement in August because, as you can see, there's an absolute cliff dive for Mr. Wander Franco. He's only down 87% in the last 2 years. I think I'm going to make a documentary in 2024, the rise and fall of Wander Franco sports card investments, because this is quite, it was already shaping up to be quite the fall. Then he got into his little to catch a predator situation, and we have just seen an absolute tank in value. And you can see there was no reason to come in here, step in here and buy. There is no reason to step in here and buy Wander Franco. Anybody telling you to buy Wander Franco is an absolute moron. There are distressed assets all across the sports card landscape that you could buy into at kind of underserved prices, or certainly below what they were a year or two ago. There was absolutely no reason to be buying Wander Franco. You'd be have better luck buying Bryce Young and CJ Stroud than you would Wander Franco. And now that the government is out here looking for him, we got bad news. So it's going to take a lot for this guy to get back in the good graces of anybody, let alone card collectors. And yeah, as soon as the news hit on August 13th, it was an instant sell. So the advice from Sports Card Radio: sell your 2023 Prizm rookie cards now. And Lord have mercy, you should have been selling your Wander Francos this summer. If you still have any, I just say, why not? Sell them.
Years ago.
But they are actively looking for Mr. Franco as of right now. So I don't know how much you could get for those cards, but I know there's a bunch of cards that I'm trying to get tonight. This card is awesome. You do have to check on these cards because this is the era of, this card probably was slabbed a long time ago. I'm not too familiar with Beckett's serial numbers, but you do have to be careful about kind of patch swapping and patch faking. But things look pretty good on this card. It's pretty rare to find like a Michael Jordan like patch card. And so that's why I have stepped in and bid on that. My philosophy going forward is, until things turn around in the sports card market, I'm buying like primo players. Whether it's Michael Jordan, whether it's Messi. This might be a little too rich for my blood at this moment. Whether it be somebody like Mbappe, who's really popular and probably still has upside. Whether it's somebody like Gail Sayers. You like that one?
Yeah, but it's going to be too much.
Yeah, I've been trying to bid on these for about 6 months, and they end for about 1,700. Like, that's my guess, is this is going to be about 1,700, and it's like, I don't know. Especially since a card like this will literally end probably for under $200. So I love cards like this. I love cards that are autographed. Card looks to be in pretty good shape. I can't see if like there's any creases or something. It's got the old blue PSA flip. So absolutely freaking love these cards. And Gail Sayers is one of the all-time top running backs. So hard to go wrong with a card like that. It wouldn't shock me if it ends for under $200. So might take that one home. Similar kind of thing here. Jerry West, if you're going to buy cards, why not buy a guy who's, the logo of the NBA? That's what that card, I believe it says the logo is the inscription. Here's another card that might end for under $150. So we had the Kobe White for $11,000. It's hard for me to spend up on cards like that, especially when there are players like Sayers, players like Jerry West. I'm a Lakers fan, so obviously there's some ties there. Hey, not an athlete, but anybody who grew up in the 90s knows who this is. This is George from Seinfeld, a.k.a. Jason Alexander. Jim meant 10 on that one. I mean, this is something that's probably going to end for under 200. I think long-term, this is something that's could be pretty valuable, pretty rare that I would bid on a Leaf card, but he doesn't sign his name that often. Nicola, he is one of the people that appeared on our card award. You can actually vote for Mr. Jokic as well as Luca. This one's already probably top of the market. It's PSA 5. So this thing ran through a cheese grater before it got over to PSA. And yeah, maybe Nicola threw it around the basketball court a couple times before he signed it. Cards like this. Here's another card that might end for under $500. I mean, it's freaking Jim Brown. It's on card. It's serial number to 10. It's 2008 Upper Deck when they had the football license. So there's a lot of nostalgia there. There's a card you don't actually see very often. It's in good condition. I mean, there's some after Christmas shopping right there. Johnny Manziel and Brett Favre, dual autograph. Who wouldn't want that? That's only at $77. So we're not bidding on the Kobe White $11,000 card, but hey, I get why people want to play in that stratosphere. And the Tom Brady for $115,000. Hey, whatever they paid Tom Brady, whatever Fanatics paid Tom Brady for this little marketing expos gig, he got underpaid. The fact that this guy can sign his name on something and it's at $115,000 with 15 days left. Whew. These athletes are underpaid. They're underpaid on their contracts. They're underpaid in terms of what Topps has given them over the years, what Panini has given them over the years, and probably even what Fanatics is giving them now. Now, it's possible Tom Brady actually owns part of the company and he has shares in the company. But I need a drink of water. He can sign his name on a baseball card and it's worth $115,000. That's almost as impressive as this Kobe White, about to sell for $11,000. But we got a big year coming up in the sports card world. Oh, here's a Jalen Hurts Panini Prizm in a BGS 3.5 condition. So hopefully Panini, they clean up some of the quality control issues there. As you can see, this comes from a gentleman by the name of Keen on Instagram. Jalen Hurts BGS 3.5, centering 1.5. So pretty lucky to actually get a 3.5 there. But we got a big year coming up with sports cards. Huge year coming up. What will the narratives be to start the year? But before we look ahead, we should look back. Almost 1 year ago today, this video came out January 8th. The bottom is here. Almost. Why cards will soon go up again. Your hobby hero, Jeff Wilson. That's right. Predicted that, the bottom, we were close to the bottom of sports cards. Unfortunately for him and for many others, that was not really the case. Here are the card ladder indexes, which aren't perfect, but they do give us a pretty good idea of some of the health of the overall market. I have it clicked over to the year-to-date change. And the only two sectors up are Star Wars and entertainment. You can see Pokemon up there, kind of essentially unchanged, down 4%. That's not very much. You also can see some things that did well. Pre-war vintage, only down 5%. That's essentially unchanged. Vintage, down 15%. It's not horrible. We're going to see some other things that dropped a lot further. The card ladder 50, kind of filled with mostly GOAT cards. Again, down 15%, not horrible. Baseball down 16%. Where you saw huge drops where basketball, people flooded out of the basketball card market down 29%, football down 40%, ultra modern down 34%. Saw a lot of underperformance from football. You remember that, one of the guys that was hyped by hobby hero Jeff Wilson, Desmond Ridder, Justin Fields, Joe Burrow got hurt. It's been underperformance across the board, not across the board, but through a lot of players around the NFL. That's certainly hurt the market. Basketball, you've just seen kind of the investor people, the investor type crowd filter away from the basketball card market. I would be encouraged the fact that pre-war vintage, and baseball held up fairly well. But your hobby hero, Jeff Wilson, told you a year ago that we were almost at the bottom. I think looking at these numbers, hindsight's 2020, we are not at the bottom. I don't think he projected that these things would go down 40%. Even Jeff Wilson's own Market Movers 500 has dropped quite a bit in the last 365 days. Although Kobe White has helped it out in the last few weeks. You guys think I'm joking, but Kobe White cards are absolutely been on fire in the last few weeks. He's absolutely torching the league, and people who pay attention to those things are certainly watching. But over the last 365 days, Jeff Wilson's own SCI 500 is down 12%. So even 500 of his hand-selected cards are down 12%. Probably not what he expected. Not what I would classify as a bottom. So this is a big year for sports cards, in my opinion. Very, very big year coming up for sports cards. Are we going to be sitting here on December 28th, 2024, talking about more double-digit drops pretty much across the board in sports cards? How many breakers, how many dealers, how many new hobby shops can afford these levels of drops? Shout out to everybody. We got 388 people watching us. 388, probably more than 388 people watching the Browns whip up on the New York Jets. Spoiler alert, they're up 20-7. It looks like we might have a change of possession. Theirs. But people like Jeff Wilson, people like Michael Rubin, the kind of the happy-go-lucky crowd, you do not want to be sitting here 365 days from now and have more double-digit drops. So I think you're going to have a lot of positive narratives to come out to start the year, to start 2024. Jeff's going to have the PR machine cranked up. Fanatics probably will. Panini just released their biggest set of the year, and it's been crickets over there, so don't expect anything from them. Good Lord. One of their top flagship products come out, and you'd be lucky to find a piece of marketing from Panini. So credit to Fanatics for at least giving an F and throwing some money Tom Brady's way and getting him to do a commercial and getting some hype around their products. And I imagine you're going to see the happy-go-lucky crowd circle the wagons for Fanatics. People are going to point to the marketing spend of Fanatics as something to be encouraged for 2024. People will point to athlete performance as something to look forward to. But as you can see, You can go over to Sports Card Radio and see some of the pumps gone bad. I remember the Superfractor bounty for Drew Jones of the Arizona Diamondbacks, who I don't think made it out of low A ball. There were people going from target to target to try to find Drew Jones cards. So if the industry is able to kind of get up, kind of drum up some of this false hype and some of this FOMO effect, maybe they can turn things around in 2024. It's gonna be a struggle because they are making a ton of this stuff. A ton of 2023 Prizm is getting made. It's going to be hard to get enough demand to keep prices up. They've made so many cards. So many cards. There's so many cards to chase week to week. There are cards of GOAT level players available at auction, available on eBay, available on ComC, available on Golden, available everywhere to buy. And I think that's going to just continue to push prices down. And that's not what people want to hear. You have people like The Walking Dead Saga, those back pages. Old school collector. He says, May 2024 see the rise in collectors appreciating and supporting other collectors who are making content instead of the let's go mega pump boys that have been misleading folks since the start of the pandemic. I think it's an uphill battle. I think the let's go crowd, the mega pump crowd, they're going to be churning up their narratives here starting in the next week or so. They're going to be talking about how the bottom is almost here. They're going to be talking about how you should be buying sports cards or buying into breaks or going to Cards HQ and spending all your rent money. It's coming. So while I think this is a good thought from those back pages, and I think we should always, to an extent, support each other, and I think other collectors certainly should support each other. The times I've met collectors, most collectors, they don't want to be on social media. They don't want to post their shit. They don't even want their wives to know how much they're spending on this stuff. So the last thing they want is a trail of evidence on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on anywhere. They don't want a trail of evidence. So if their wife ever gets mad or the girlfriend ever gets mad, she can just go run and be like, oh, what's that? What's that? $200 Jerry West card. What's that? $200 Gale Saris card. Heaven forbid you have an $11,000 Kobe White card. She's coming for that. She's selling that. She's calling Ken Golden and getting that thing sold. So most collectors, I think the collectors who do show off their collection, create content, a lot of those people are very rare because the times I've been to the National, the times I've met, just kind of your run-of-the-mill collector, whether they spend a lot or spend a little on cards, they actually don't show it off that often. Because most don't want their wives to, it usually comes back to they don't want their wives to know how much they're spending on cards. But good thought from the Walking Dead Saga. Everybody knows Seablez, and you can vote for him. He's one of the candidates for Hobby Man of the Year. You remember that Seablez started the year almost getting into a fight with Santiago Sports at the Culture Collision card show. And most recently, Cblez kind of drove a conversation about repacks. Well, he chimes in. He says 2024 will be the year of consolidation in the hobby. And probably what he means is most notably Fanatics. Fanatics will continue their control over the industry. And you're seeing that little by little. And an example of that is, the fact that they have autograph exclusives with the likes of CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, which waters down and dilutes a product like Prizm Football. Doesn't make it as desirable if you can't pull these guys' autograph. Wait till National Treasures. Wait till Flawless. Wait till National Treasures and Flawless. So the fact that the top NFL rookies, potentially for a couple of years, and look, this is not breaking news, but you're starting to see it play out now that these sets are coming out. And there's going to be a wave of football product between now and the end of the year that's going to come out. Should be kind of worrisome. And boy, it just shows you that Fanatics don't give a F about you guys. The fact that they signed these guys to exclusives, they didn't so much as make a press release about it. We talked about it. I don't know how many of you guys joined us last week when we talked about how the entire apparel industry and the entire licensed sporting goods world hates Fanatics. And I'm wondering if some of that will eventually seep into sports cards. I feel like it's inevitable. It's probably already started to happen. Here's an article from a website I wish I owned because this is an incredible piece of content. It says Fanatics ruined Christmas. And it goes through all the mistakes on these Christmas gifts. Looks like maybe a Chicago Blackhawks sweater turned Tennessee Titans logo. Here's a Go Blue, but I think if you buy a Michigan Wolverine sweater, I think they might be actually playing here in the next couple days, you probably don't want it to have Illinois on it. Here's some other ones that are just complete disasters. How about this jersey? How about nothing on the front? This is one of my favorite ones. A mom, looks like somebody ordered something for their 10-year-old nephew, and it was supposed to have his name on the back. And I don't know if you guys can see, but she's pointing to his name, which is as small as a fingernail. And you can see here's a Kansas City Chief jersey with the Broncos logo on it. Here's a Raheem Mostert jersey that they actually printed the number on backwards. That's not a Dan Marino jersey. Here's a Toronto Maple Leaf sweater with a New York Ranger logo on it. So you can see that these mistakes are actually quite common in the Fanatics apparel world, and you will wonder how this will seep over to the sports card world. And if in a couple years we're going to be, look, we already saw it with the dual superfractors. We see printing errors all the time. I know that this is a Panini card, but this was printed at the facility that Fanatics now owns that prints cards. These type of things, hey, maybe are cool occasionally, but you certainly don't want to be opening pack after pack and seeing this type of issue. So not the type of cards most of us want to pull. And with the consolidation that's already happening before everybody's eyes, you'll have to wonder at what point will quality drop off the table. Now, actually, some of these misprints and some of these things, pretty common back in the 80s, pretty common back in the 90s, and even before that. I wonder what collectors' appetite will be for that. Most people want their cards in a certain type of condition. They don't want their cards coming out totally off-centered like this. Although if I pulled this out of a pack, I don't think I would be too disappointed. Depending how much I paid, I think some of these boxes nowadays are selling for a Prizm Football box. I think it's like about $800. For group breakers, big year for you guys. Big year for you guys. You can see just right now, live on Fanatics Live, about 30 group breakers live right now. So lots of competition. Most of you break the same product. And I think that this stuff was actually entertaining to watch. The viewership would be much higher and much more off the charts. I think 2024 will be the year that group breakers, you have to make this entertaining again. Let's make group breaking entertaining again. I think for a couple years, most people have just copied the backyard breaks model right down to the thumbnails.
These breakers got to study what they do in Japan, because they have like these, like I just saw a dude that basically went to a card shop, but they kind of make it like a gambly thing, which these breakers all do anyway. But they'll put like all the hit cards in like this display case. It'll be like the S tier down to the like F tier or whatever, right? So then people pay the money, for the chance to hit like, S tier thing, like a S tier level thing out of a box. They're like repacks, but the repacks themselves have like cards of value, so you don't get totally hosed. And then if you hit, each one has like little postcard in there that says like whatever tier you hit. So if you hit like the S tier thing, then you're making like 3 to 5x your money or whatever. So like, but you don't hit that often, but people still have that chance or whatever.
Sounds
And
like
then
gambling.
also get the other cards that like kind of make up for whatever loss. Like you don't totally just get, it's all or nothing kind of. So
And I
so
think
that's
you
kind
see
of like what
that.
they do in Japan, like on like the streets and stuff, like their street whatever and the pachinko bars and all that. So if the breakers need to study like how they get the Japanese people engaged on that level, I guess.
I mean, competition is fierce, as you can see. The only one I really wanted to click on was our girl, Miss Katie, down here, who is doing pretty good, pulling in 100 viewers. But I think the wheel needs to be reinvented here a little bit, especially with so many breakers basically breaking the same thing. I think this needs to be more entertaining. I think either the breakers themselves or these live stream platforms need to give me a reason to click on this stuff. Aside if maybe I'm interested in acquiring some 2023 Prizm. There's a lot of people who are very could casually watch this. Maybe they get into a break once or twice a week, but you want them over here consuming this content. And whether it's studying things in Japan, whether it's studying some of the NFL model, you see the way they display these games now. They'll have the regular broadcasters covering the game, and then you can go over to ESPN2 or some other kind of alternate stream, and essentially there's a group of guys or a couple guys like the Manning brothers or whatever running a counter stream to the break. I think breakers could look into something like that, just making your break more entertaining to watch. The only one I want to click on is our girl Kate. And I am somewhat entertained. But the thought of clicking on one of these guys and watching literally makes me want to puke. I'd rather watch Joe Flacco throw his third touchdown against the New York Jets. So I think it's a big year for group breaking. You know it's a huge year for? Jeff Wilson. I mean, I expect the sports card investor PR machine to get cranked up to another level. in the next couple weeks. If he hasn't done it already, he's probably just too busy trying to open this behemoth of a sports card shop. 14,000 square feet. I mean, you could house the entire the Atlanta Falcons football team in 14,000 square feet. He's going to have to become one of the largest sellers of sports cards online, seemingly overnight. So that alone will be very, very interesting and very, very entertaining to watch. You think about some of the largest sellers of sports cards, most of them are consignment sellers. PWCC, Golden, Check Out My Cards. One of the largest kind of independent sellers is, in my opinion, is Burbank Sports Cards. If we could get all the eBay data, they're probably one of the largest sellers of sports cards on the internet. And if anybody's seen those videos and seen their warehouse, they probably have well over 14,000 square feet of warehouse space housing all these cards, from cards priced at 99 cents all the way up to thousands of dollars. Jeff will have to do something very similar. Unless he pivots and becomes a consigner at some point, which wouldn't be a horrible idea at all. The Probstein model, the PWCC model, the Golden model, the ComC model. But initially, that's not the route he's taking. He's taking essentially the Burbank Sports Cards model. And some people in the chat might be able to come up with some other examples around the country. Greg Morris Cards. A lot of these guys have been around for decades and probably started with a 500 square foot shop in the 80s or 90s or early 2000s. Very, very few people take this level of risk so early in their sports card selling career. And so this will be very, very, even if it wasn't Jeff Wilson, it would be interesting to watch. The fact that it's Jeff Wilson, he's taking this level of risk. He keeps talking about live selling. I saw him do a video the other day. He said, hey, all you guys, you're missing out on the big point. We're going to do live selling 24 hours a day. More power to him, because he's going to have to get a crazy number of people buying 24 hours a day. Somebody like Burbank Sports Cards sells tons of cards on eBay. Tons of cards on eBay. Their store is probably almost secondary to what they sell online. And the amount of orders going in and out of that shop on a daily basis. This will be very interesting to watch. So I imagine the PR machine over at Sports Card Investor, they got to be cranking it up. They got to be cranking out videos like this here very soon. The bottom is here. Cards will go up again. Why you should buy into Fanatics. Why Fanatics is good for the hobby. Why the hobby will turn around. Why it's time to buy modern sports cards again. 7 reasons modern cards will spike. Will Greer's a 4x better investment than Kyler Murray? It's got to happen, because he's got to become one of the largest sellers of sports cards on the internet, and it's got to happen quick. So, man, this guy bought himself a job, and it will be absolutely fun to watch. Probably one of the most entertaining things to watch coming up in 2024. And the cards I'm watching, I still high bid on Jeffrey Jordan. We're still high bid on, or no, we're not high bid on Messi. High bid on Gale Sayers. We're outbid on George. So I'm excited about winning those cards. Chat, ladies and gentlemen, The legend of Brett Morrison and the Aussie the dog says Ryan is sports card pimp of the year. That's right. I should be having my own auctions that I have ending tonight up here, and I should be pimping my own auctions. This Kobe white card, which is not mine, just got another bid. I need a shot of whiskey. $12,500. I don't understand it. Spider Sports Card says Santa brought me a Livy Dunn signed leotard. That's actually a real thing. So you can actually purchase that. I don't know if it's used or not. I don't know if we're getting into territory that might get me kicked off YouTube, but that is a real thing. And, maybe you wouldn't have to. I mean, how much would this dress sell for? I wanted to give you, it's an impressive dress. It might be Prada or something. So I wanted to give you guys a shot of the front and the back. I figured you guys would appreciate that. A lot of style and fashion experts watching the show, I know, wanted to see that. But you can really buy a Livy Dunn signed leotard, I believe, from Leaf. So Bob Boozle says, I vote Mama Breaks as Hobby Man of the Year. See, we at Sports Card Radio, we distinguish between genders and race over here. We're not afraid. We're not afraid to tackle the hard-hitting subjects over here at Sports Card Radio. And so, we did put Mama Breaks under Woman of the Year because she definitely looks female. But some of these men,
You should have just made it gender neutral, non-binary.
See, I don't.
of the year.
Yes, see, I don't like. That's too woke. That's
Put
too
them
San
all
Francisco.
in one category.
Person of the year. I don't know. I wanted to segregate it out. Now maybe we come back in 2024 and we got something different going on. But this is what we got right now. And again, head on over to sportscardradio.com and you can vote for these awards that are ending on December 31st. And we will post the winners of these awards, these illustrious awards, on January 1st. Hall of Famer, PSA Hall of Famer, ladies and gentlemen. There may not be a higher honor in the sports card world, guys, than the PSA Hall of Fame. I was at his induction ceremony. Is a real thing. Logan Ward said he voted. And yes, I won't click on these because I don't want to make it rigged. I don't want to make people think that I'm trying to pick somebody over the others, but you do get a special message when you do click on the person you voted for. And so hopefully you guys appreciate that. You know what I appreciate is this $5 from Sharper Vintage baseball cards. Keep up the good work. PSA Vintage. End of story. And hey, look, we had a down year for sports cards, down year for, invest in almost anything in 2023. And your numbers might have looked similar to this, but the fact that pre-war vintage was only down 5%, that's essentially a no change. And you could probably find several examples of some of these cards actually going up in value during the course of 2023. That's extremely impressive. Vintage itself only down 15% when we saw other things get battered, 29%. Ultra modern down 34%. Football down 40%. Marvel down 77%. Isn't that the great creators thing? Soccer down 40%. I remember people pumping soccer down people's throats during the pandemic. People were pumping soccer. I remember people saying, "Oh, soccer is going to be bigger than baseball cards. It's going to be the biggest sport." I could literally find clips of people saying that. So the fact that pre-war vintage baseball cards, and really baseball in general, kind of held up during what was a rough year, it bodes pretty well. Bodes pretty well. That's why a lot of
Baseball
these.
didn't go up as hard as like it wasn't as volatile as the other categories, so it didn't have as much to move overall.
Right. And some of the baseball rookies were a little down. Volpe, Jordan Walker. There was a lot of kind of hype for some baseball players that didn't perform quite as well. We saw what happened to Wander Franco. We saw what happened post Ohtani injury. So actually, it is semi impressive for this baseball index to only be down 16% on the year. My guess is there's some freaking Wander Franco cards in there. My guess is there were some Shohei Ohtani cards that had gone down after the injury. There's just a loyalty to baseball in general. I mean, there's a reason why they're called baseball cards. Some of this other stuff, it was football, ultra modern, basketball, a lot of speculative money. We saw that with Kobe White, which is now at $14,000. So I would not advise spending $14,000 on a Kobe White card, no matter how well he's playing. He'd have to be playing like Michael freaking Jordan. But hey, people doing their thing. And we appreciate the $5 Sharper Image baseball cards. PSA Vintage all the way. It's really hard to go wrong with that. Ziggy No is Sports Card Radio in 2024 Big League. We need real influencers in the hobby. I am not, because these cards would have already been made. They'll probably actually preview this set, I imagine, within the next few weeks or month. You will see a sell sheet or something for 2023 Big League, which I believe comes out kind of toward the beginning of the year. And I do hope they make these influencer cards again. I think these are a nice touch. We've certainly got a lot of mileage out of talking about these people over the last year since these cards have been out. So hopefully they do make these cards, but we are not in them. I think if asked, unless there was like some money or something involved, I don't know why I would do it. It would be a no for me.
I want coach cards.
Oh, you want some like coach cards? Like, yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think in basketball,
like
Prizm
baseball, or like not baseball, but football. I want a Mike McDaniels card.
A Mike McDaniels card would actually do pretty well. I think they should do that. I know they have put some coaches cards in Prizm over the years. I don't know if they've done it in the 2023 set, but I think a Mike McDaniel card would do really well. Card I West Custom says, give me that Larry David card. I mean, yeah, Larry David card would be dope too. Larry David is the one of the guys who produced Seinfeld. So was good, says Sports Card Radio. I saw your video on Dale Ball. He is a big time scammer. He's a piece of SHIT. Don't be his friend, bro. I'm definitely not his friend. I was not familiar when we ran into Dale Ball at a card show. I was not familiar with his scamming. But if you watch some subsequent videos, we get into some of Dale Ball's scams, and you can actually vote for Dale Ball as scammer of the year. And every card show that I go to, especially around this area, I hear all about the scams that Mr. Dale Ball tried to pull off. Brandon says, do the Fanatics offices or Jeff's new shop have better plumbing? You know, that's a good idea, because you're going to have some employees wolfing down some Chipotle burritos. You're going to want some good plumbing in these offices. And if we take another dip and dive in the sports card world, price-wise, for 2024, boy, it's going to be gut check time in the sports card world. Dan the Card Man, one of the nominees for Hobby Man of the Year. And spoiler alert, he's very, very much in the running for Hobby Man of the Year. People are loving Dan the Card Man. He says the Fanatics apparel related reviews are a good read for a laugh. Yeah, there's a lot of data. There's a lot of good information about the Fanatics apparel F-ups, because it's been happening for a long time. Fans are frustrated the fact that Fanatics has an exclusive for all the good apparel items like hats and jerseys and sweaters and all this kind of different stuff. A smaller brand can't break in and sell Michigan gear because Fanatics has that under exclusive, and it basically makes it impossible. Yeah, where is producer of the year? Tim, you've already locked that up. So you know what I mean? I mean, you've already locked that up, and you've already made it with flying colors. David Snyder with a $4.99. He says, will next year have any new updates on grading? I'd love to go to my card shop in Dallas and pay a premium for grading services, 1-day turnaround. I wish these grading companies like PSA, like BGS, like anybody would step into the 21st century and make it very convenient and reduce the friction that it is to grade these cards. A lot of people, they'll pull a CJ Stroud, maybe they'll pull a valuable one, and they won't really know what to do. Kind of have to be quite literally in the club to know what to do with these cards. So if you were able to go into your local hobby shop or a card store, a card show, local card show, and be able to easily grade these cards through somebody reputable, not our boy Mark's Cards down in Southern California, but somebody you know and you trust. I'd love to see it. I'd love to see somebody like PSA put somebody over in the Check Out My Cards office and grade cards out of Check Out My Cards. Grade cards, have somebody, a team of graders go around from card shop to card shop all year and grade cards.
I've been saying that forever.
I mean, right. These ideas are not new. They're not, exclusive to me. These are things that would build brand awareness.
Just common sense ideas, honestly.
Take it out of being, you have to be in this club and you kind of have to know what to do, and you have to rub Kurt's Card Care juice on these cards, and you kind of have to, let's make it easier. Estevan says Burbank Cards owner was on the Instagram today saying the hobby sales will never go back to where they used to be. I mean, I'm gonna trust him. I remember this is like 10 years ago, hearing a talk from Rob Vira's talking about selling commons, putting commons on eBay and selling them, and selling, hundreds, if not thousands of cards per day. They have 43 million cards. This is the scale that Jeff Wilson is going to have to get to. It's going to have $43 million cards and be selling a ton of them on eBay. A ton of them apparently through live selling. But if Rob says cards are never going to get back to where they used to be, I'm going to believe him. Hall of Famer Logan Ward says, I identify as a sports card collector. That's right. So much so that you're in the PSA freaking Hall of Fame. And honestly, I think there's a lot of people that don't know that PSA has a Hall of Fame. That should be like plastered on their freaking website.
I didn't know that.
Plastered. Like, where can I want to see somewhere there? I can probably see all the faces of the people who've made the Hall of Fame over the years, but there should be articles, and these people's faces and these people's collections should be spotlighted.
Seriously.
I mean, bad. Logan Ward has literally one of the top NASCAR collections in the entire world. So much so, and he could correct me if I'm wrong, I believe some of his items have been at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. So, I mean, you got to be real deal to get into the PSA Hall of Fame. They do a lunch and a kind of presentation every year for many years at the National, and not that many people know about it. And I think PSA could do a way, way, way better job highlighting those people, highlighting those collectors. So it kind of goes back to the point from those back pages, appreciating and supporting collectors.
That's how
A lot
you
of people,
really grow a hobby, is like spotlighting the cool ass shit. That's what I
and
mean.
most collectors don't put forth that effort because they don't want their wives to know how much they've spent. So that's where somebody like PSA can come in and really spotlight these people. They have a Hall of Fame, but put it out there more. Put it on your website. You know what I'm saying? Like let me see, what it takes to even get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So I think PSA could do a better job on that. I think that's something they could, in my opinion, that's something they should do in 2024. Dave Snyder back with the $4.99. He says, is the card influencer who says we can be gatekeepers a partner in Cards HQ? I believe you are referring to the great curator who, his famous quote that we could be the gatekeepers. He, I believe, is not a part of Cards HQ to my knowledge. Maybe he's a silent partner, but so far no affiliation for the great curator and our boy Jeff Wilson. But I think all these, maybe great curator will get a card in 2023 big league. So maybe that's why he's been keeping a low profile over the last couple of months, because he want to make sure that card comes out. John Winkler with the $4.99 for the Kobe White card fund. I mean, we are $14,941 away, guys, from slapping a bid on this Kobe White 101. Again, this is not a recorded video. This is not the pandemic. This is real life. Kobe White has apparently been lighting it up. And we have a $14,000 Kobe White card. So that's absolutely astonishing. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, we are in our 16th year making content. Head on over to Sports Card Radio. Vote in our awards. Head on over to our release calendar. See what the hell's coming out. Card show calendar. We got a bunch of card shows coming up in the next couple weeks. Maybe you can be there. Maybe you can bring your Kobe White cards. Maybe you can sell them. We've got big things happening in the sports card world. And we got big things happening here in a few minutes when I bid on these cards. And I appreciate all of you guys for watching. We will be back next week. We might be in Vegas, but we will make an appearance next week. Again, remember that on January 1st, the award winners will be announced. I'll post that over on YouTube in the community section. It will also be posted on sportscardradio.com. Hundreds of people have already voted. Some of these things were very, very close. We're literally talking about 1 or 2 votes separated some of these people. I think this was the only category, who was the best white basketball player investment, where there was one player running away with it. It was not Josh Giddey. So people seem to be out on the Wander Franco and Josh Giddey. But I appreciate all you guys for coming out. The Jets are down 34-14. Ladies and gentlemen, they might be in a search for a new quarterback next year if Aaron Rodgers can't come back. So we've got a blowout of a football game, but I hope you guys had a blowout of a year in 2023. And we will be back next week. Thanks again, Sharper Image Baseball Cards. Dave Snyder John Winkler with the super chats. We appreciate you guys. Hopefully, you guys have a good rest of your night, and we will be back very soon, right here on Sports Card Radio. Go vote, ladies and gentlemen.
B-side on the beat.
What's going on with that PPP?
Thank you, Tim.
Done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3. But Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on cost stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet. Willie's doing shady shit like the GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay, he's getting money. Even better, tax-free, loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit.
B-side on the beat.
What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3. But Jeff got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on cost stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt, cause the market's down and you're a clown, it's all your fault. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip, Jeff? I think you dipped, Jeff. What you talking about? I don't think you dipped yet.
Oh, this is game worn. My bad.
The GOBs, like his whole failed thing with them NFTs, taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay. He's getting money. Even better, tax-free, loving all the stimulus from PPP. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruined the hobby I love with your bullshit.
Peace out. Take it easy, guys.